Hello, Emma. Good morning.
Hello. Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Everything is well here. Where are you located? Which
I
place?
am in Missouri, which is right in the middle of the
Of,
United
of
States.
nowhere, in the desert.
Well, I guess some people would say in the middle of nowhere is a bad thing. I would argue that it has its perks to be a little bit off the main main road.
Because
So,
when you are coming out of the United States, there are two places, either New York or Los Angeles. So there's
yeah.
nothing in the middle.
I think that for a lot of people, they hear Missouri and they don't even know where to put it on a map. Maybe they think it's somewhere in the South. I just tell people, if you close your eyes, imagine a map of the United States and then had to point to the middle, you'd probably be end up pretty close to where Missouri is. So lots of
Uh,
agriculture, but you know, it's
you,
a
you've been
it's a
born
good
there,
place.
like you've been born there. It's like,
Not born, but I was raised here. I was born in Memphis, and my family moved a couple of times, and we came here when I was 4, and then I've kind of been in and out my whole adult life. So I've lived in other places. I lived in Spain. I lived in Israel for 3 years.
oh,
That's
that's
actually
nice.
where I met
Yeah.
my husband, Erez, who's also my business partner, and we moved together to Missouri about 4.5 years ago now.
It's look like adventure.
It is an adventure, that's for sure.
Okay, so tell me about yourself. Tell me about what you're doing.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, my husband Erez and I are business partners. We co-founded Marketing by Emma together, which is an e-commerce copywriting firm. So we work with online businesses from all over the world, helping them create really engaging, conversion spiking copy that is going to connect with their dream customers and not only help facilitate that immediate sale, but really to build long-term relationships with them.
So how it all that relates to Amazon?
A big part of what we do is
Uh,
helping businesses that want to sell on Amazon create awesome Amazon listings. So whether sellers are kind of scratching their heads trying to figure out why their product isn't selling, or they're getting ready to launch a new product, we can come in and help them either re-optimize their listing to make it more competitive, or help them really start off on the right foot with a strong listing that's set up both to help them index properly, rank well, and make as many sales as possible.
Converting. Yeah. We are looking for conversion, right? We are in the world
Yes,
of
exactly.
getting conversion.
If you're not converting, then everything else you're doing is just kind of spinning your wheels. So that's
Okay.
definitely what our goal is.
And Amazon like that you're spinning the wheels because they are making all the money.
But while we're obviously conversions are sort of like the apple that we're seeking, there are all these other really great benefits that can happen when you have a well optimized listing that people don't really think about. Like, for example, you'll probably experience lower return rates because if you're describing your product well and you're making sure you're appearing in front of the right types of customers, then you're more likely to have a good fit with the people that are actually purchasing. So you're not just making more conversions, but you're making better quality conversions that aren't just going to be turning around and returning your product when they realize that it wasn't described properly, or there's something else that wasn't clear from the listing that's creating a mismatch for them once they get that product home.
So it's really about setting up the right expectation with the customers, right? It's
Yes,
really about
exactly.
delivering the right message to the customer. So when he's getting the package, he knows that this is exactly what he was looking for.
Yes, and this isn't one of the mistakes that I was planning on talking about today, but I think it's something that's really worth thinking about. And it's a mistake that I see all the time, which is really this desire to kind of want to use exaggeration to explain your product. So to say that it's the best at everything and to use this really big over the top claims. And while that may make you excited about your product, it's not necessarily representing you in the best way possible, because first of all, customers are pretty savvy, and they shop online all the time. So a lot of times they can see through those types of claims. But also, if you're saying you're the best at this, you're the best at this, it's the most innovative thing here, you need to actually be able to stand behind all of those statements that you're making. Otherwise, people are going to open their box up with really high expectations, and they're going to be like, okay, this is obviously just a cheap piece of plastic that is from China, and there's really nothing innovative about it, and I'm feeling pretty disappointed. And because you set such high expectations that you're not able to meet, those feelings of disappointment are going to be even stronger, and so they may lead people to leave negative reviews, perhaps be sending more returns back, which isn't just creating the expense of the returns, but it's also impacting the health of your seller account. So you want to be really thoughtful about how you're explaining your product and not falling into that sort of trap.
Okay, so I will take this to 6 listings mistakes.
Yeah, that was a free bonus.
Change the goals, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, today I just got one of the funniest feedbacks I ever got for one of my products. I got a feedback from some gentleman saying, I bought it to my wife. She's happy. I'm happy. So I know who is the target market now.
Yes, exactly. And that's another, again, I didn't plan on speaking about this, but thinking about, you may have multiple customers that you're needing to be thoughtful of with your listing. So there's the person that's actually making that purchase, and then there's the one that's going to be using it. For example, oftentimes the woman is the one making the purchases for the household. So even for things like grooming products for men, there's a high likelihood that the wife or girlfriend or partner or mother is making the purchase of that product. And so you might want to be thinking about some of those things as you're creating your listing and wanting to both appeal to the end user, but also that middle person that's the one that's ultimately clicking the add to cart.
And actually, I will not do promotion to my products, okay? But I really see that my product is consumed by women. Most of the purchase coming from women, but I also see when they buy present, you have the gift wraps and you get the gift messages and everything. So that 90% of this specific product goes to women, and I see the shopping behavior, definitely.
Yeah.
And totally agree. And it also relates to what you're going to talk about in terms of the content and the way I'm delivering the message on the listing should talk to 90% of the purchasing are ladies, so it should talk to ladies. So this is also one thing that another.
Definitely.
Okay. So what you prepared for us?
Are these listing mistakes costing you sales? We already kind of gave a nice intro to that. As I mentioned, my husband and I are business partners. That gentleman standing to the left of me is Erez. And since we founded our business in 2016, we worked with over 700 businesses, helping them with their Amazon listings, with their website copy, and any of those other really foundational marketing texts that businesses need to be successful online. So one of the first mistakes that I want to talk about, and the reason why I make this the first thing that we talk about before we go into anything else, is we really need to talk about SEO, and specifically with SEO on Amazon, there are some special considerations that you need to have. And the reason why this is so important is because a well-researched keyword list should really serve as the skeleton for your listing, because this is what's making sure that your listing is getting indexed properly, that you're set up to be able to rank well. And in order to do that, you need to make sure that you know which words you're wanting to be indexing and ranking for. And if not, then you're either leaving it up to chance, or you're just going to end up buried on some, 100th page somewhere, which nobody goes there. So this is really about making sure that you're helping to generate that organic traffic, but that you're also setting yourself up to be able to run the types of PPC campaigns that you're needing to run. So let's take a look.
Let's talk about a moment about SEO. can you better explain what is SEO and what is the purpose of the SEO? Okay.
Sure.
I think it's a big word that people are using it, and not always you fully understand what is the SEO itself or what is SEO for.
Yeah, so SEO stands for search engine optimization. And so there's different types of algorithms that you may need to be appealing to depending upon where you're selling. So like Google has its own search engine algorithms and certain things that you need to do in order to rank well and get to page one with your website. And similarly, Amazon has its own algorithm called the A9 algorithm. And so this is, people have a pretty good idea about how it functions, but there are still some kind of either points of disagreement or just question marks that nobody really knows because Amazon doesn't disclose that information. But what we do know is that there are certain words and phrases that by using them, especially when they are relevant to your product, then that's what's going to allow you to index properly. And so that means that Amazon is recognizing you as relevant to those specific words. And then ranking, which ranking is really how you rise up eventually and hopefully onto page one, not just for one phrase, but ideally for multiple phrases. But so often people, I think, kind of fall for the attraction of these really high search volume words, and they're not necessarily considering things like how relevant those words are to their product, because just because you include a word in your listing, it doesn't mean that you'll index for it. Amazon's algorithms are pretty sophisticated, and so there's the indexing piece, and then ranking. A lot of what impacts and influences how you rank on a term is based upon purchases made. So Amazon is ultimately hoping to try to facilitate a sale as quickly and easily as possible. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to match buyers with the product that's going to be most likely to make a sale for those particular terms. So you want to be thinking about that as you're doing your keyword research to make sure that if somebody's searching those words, that this product is that you're selling is the one that would be a best fit for their purchase. So like, let's just look at this example that I've pulled up. This it's a survival tool. Now, unique birthday gifts for men may be a good keyword. I don't know. The problem is with this, the usage of this, which I know, Assaf, you wanted to talk about SEO. Did I answer that? Do you feel like I answered that question sufficiently?
I think that you answered very good. And I think that the relation to that ranking is very important. And I like this example. And then I will give another example from one of my products and from one of my customers that also relates to this issue.
Awesome. So in this case, they're obviously trying to rank for this unique birthday gifts for men, dad, and husband. So they're going really hard on this gifting for different terms for men. Now, the problem with this, and one of the things that's really important, so you need to have a well-researched keyword strategy, which I'll go into some things that you want to consider in more depth in a minute. And you want to use those keywords in a way that is not also taking away from a customer's ability to understand what the product is and to make that purchasing decision. So in this case, by putting unique birthday gifts for men, dad, and husband at the very beginning of their title, they are not doing a good job of integrating those keywords into the listing so that I can understand as a customer what it is. Because if let's say that I searched unique birthday gifts for men and I see this and I'm like, this looks weird, I have no idea what it is. Whereas they could still be ranking for unique birthday gifts for men, but if they moved up the 9-in-1 survival gear kits up to the very beginning of the title, then I'd be able to look at the at the title really quickly, understand exactly what it is, and understand for myself whether this is the type of product that would be interesting to the man that I'm shopping for. But instead, they've hidden away the details of what this product actually is. I think it's like the 1, 2, like you have to go 7 or 8 words in until you even start to know what this product is. And people are looking at things quickly and at a glance, and so this image isn't particularly engaging or interesting. And then when we look at it in the bottom right hand corner of what it looks like on mobile, you hardly even get any information about what this product is. And so you want to be thoughtful as you're creating your title and also the rest of your listing, and making sure that while you are using those valuable keywords, that you're incorporating them in a way that is still allowing for a very readable listing, and that you're going to be able to communicate all of those really important details.
I think on the example, if you go back, actually they are missing 95% or even 98% of their target market. And you know why? Because if I'm a man and I'm a man, I don't have patience to go through unique birthday gift for man and dad, husband. I will move on because I don't buy to myself a gift and I don't have any husband. So
exactly,
I will not focus on that and move to the next product because I'm impatient. When I'm shopping, I don't have time and I don't have time to read all the text or reading all the title. Maybe just look on the picture and see unique birthday gift for men, not for me. Thank you. Moving on.
Yep, exactly. So this is really not a well done strategy. And you'll see that they're then continuing that into the first bullet. So their first bullet is talking gifts for men idea. And then they proceed to tell us every version of how you could describe a man and all of the holidays. And sometimes those holidays can provide interesting opportunities. However, when you create your listing, it's not that you have to keep it as is and you can never touch it. So if you really feel like your product is a great gift, it's better to update those seasonal sort of gift giving opportunities throughout the year rather than just allowing them to stay there all year round, because it just looks lazy and weird. And we just had Father's Day a month ago, so nobody's buying Father's Day gifts anymore. Valentine's Day couldn't be farther from most people's minds. And Christmas is still so far in the horizon that even people that are early shoppers aren't thinking about Christmas right now. So you could remove all of those things from your listing, or at least from the front part of your listing for the time being, and then have a much shorter bullet. But also one of the things that they're missing here is they have all these keywords, but they're really not saying why this is a great gift. So you have to understand that just because you say something is a certain way, if you don't have a compelling argument for why it is that way, then you're just kind of saying empty words. And perhaps some people will think, oh yeah, sure, this is a great gift, but others might be like, okay, well, what differentiates this from all the other presents that I've given in the past that have either been returned or just sit in the back of their closet and never get used.
And let me link this example to PPC, okay? Because if I'm taking gift for your dad as a search term, they're probably going to pay a lot of money and a lot of clicks without anyone buying the product for competing on this one. If they would be more specific on their product keywords or search term, they most probably would get better or conversion.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about what you need to do to make sure that you both have a good keyword list, but that you are also incorporating keywords correctly into your listing. Because I think naturally a lot of people that are attracted to selling on Amazon tend to consider themselves far more comfortable with analytics and numbers than they do with the creative side of things, which is great. And it's what allows, it will be hugely advantageous for working towards building a successful brand on Amazon. But I think that drives people to this feeling like they need to, like there's a set rule. So I need to have 3 keywords in the title and 2 keywords in every bullet. And I would encourage you to try to get away from those kind of like finite rules and really think more in terms of how you can naturally incorporate keywords into your title and into your bullets and into your description without doing what this seller has done with just creating a big mess that is really not very customer centric. So first and foremost, you need to do your homework, and rather than just taking those highest search volume words, after you've used whatever tool or tools you're going to use, you want to look at the list that you have generated, and you want to go through that, and you want to be thinking about a few things. So first, are these words relevant to the product? Because you're probably going to get a lot of words that are either very general, are just these random words that are not all at all related to what you're selling. You're probably going to get some competitor brand names that slip in there, which you want to be really careful about, because you don't want to use other brand names in your listing unless you're selling something like a electronic device that is compatible with something. So you can say, this Yeti microphone is compatible with Apple and Dell, and you can say it in those cases. But if you want to say this is better than, you cannot do that. So you want to be really careful about that. You also want to be thinking about, will this keyword fit into my listing in a way that makes sense? So you could have this really attractive keyword. It has a pretty good search volume. It's not very competitive, but it's such a weird phrase that there's no way that you can put that into your listing. Don't put it into your listing. Save it for the back end. And then, as I also mentioned, look at how competitive those keywords are. So just because it's really high search volume, if there are 100,000 other products that are indexing on that word, there's a good chance that that's going to be a very expensive word to try to be competitive on, and it's going to be much more difficult to rank high than some of those lower search volume, lower competition words. And something else that we do as we're conducting our own keyword research is we'll actually look for those really awesome medium or longer tail keywords, which those start to be like 3-5+ word phrases that have those higher search volume words embedded within them. So they're sort of a 2-for-1 thing. So you are still incorporating those valuable high volume keywords, but they're not the main focus that you're really trying to target. And you're also getting something that is less competitive, that you do have a better shot, especially when you're first launching, to be ranking higher on.
And one thing I want to add to that is actually when you're doing your keyword research, really target the right competitors, okay? Because you don't have to shoot or look for the most selling competitors. Sometimes look for competitors which are on the same level of your product. Don't try to compete with the high sales volumes. Try to compete with the one in your neighborhood.
Yes, totally. So the ones that are kind of, similar price point, similar quality, and then also be thinking, like, let's say that you're selling, even since I was just using this example a moment ago, a microphone. So, and maybe you have a really awesome microphone that you feel like on quality terms can compete against some of the really big names. But even within the category of microphones, you have different tiers. So you have those studio level microphones that are really meant for people that are doing very serious recordings, whether it's music recording or, professional podcasters. And so they have certain requirements, whereas perhaps you're selling, it's a great microphone, but it's really much more of an entry-level microphone that's meant for people that will do the occasional recording here and there. They want good sound quality, but they don't need as big or as strong of a microphone as those professionals might. Or perhaps you're selling a travel microphone. So it has all of the features that those really high-end microphones have, but it's portable for people that are either, living a more nomadic lifestyle or travel frequently and still need to be able to do their podcasting. And so if you were just thinking about microphones and then taking the top two competitors in that category, it might be too general to really get you a good sense of who your true competitors are, which would be those travel podcasting microphones, or the entry level microphone, or whatever the case may be.
So target market. Know your target market.
Know your target market and know who you're competing directly against. Mm-hmm. Okay, so mistake number 2, as I say, mind your P's and Q's. Attention to detail is of utmost importance when you want to look good. I love this quote because you really, if you're selling in brick and mortar, or if you're selling at a trade show, back when trade shows existed before this pandemic, you had the opportunity to engage with your customers. So you can take cues from how they're dressed, their body language, all of these different things, and then you can really tailor a message that's going to excite them and appeal to them. Well, you don't have that opportunity when you're selling online. So your listing, both your photos and your text, are the equivalent of your salesperson, and you want to make as positive of a first impression as possible, because people have very limited information to work with. They are going to be critical of even the smallest details. And I don't mean that everybody's necessarily going to be looking over your listing with a magnifying glass, looking for those mistakes. But anytime that you are writing something with incorrect grammar, or you're missing key details, or you're having sort of sloppy or low quality imagery, all of those things are the equivalent of going and speaking to a customer after you just rolled out of bed, rather than taking some time to make sure that your hair is properly groomed and you have a nice outfit on. You really want to make as best of a first impression as you possibly can. So with this example, all of the underlines are either awkward phrasing, improper grammar, weird language. Like in this second bullet here, you see your furry friend don't have toe inflammation. So not only is this grammatically incorrect, but it's very confusing. I don't really understand what they're speaking about. I don't know. So that's something that you want to be really thinking about. And there are free tools like Grammarly that you can download that do a pretty good job of catching spelling and grammatical errors. Have other people read what you're writing, and even read what you've written out loud yourself, because that may help you catch on to mistakes that you hadn't noticed previously. And another thing that this seller is doing poorly, and it's something that fortunately it seems to not be quite as popular as it used to be, but I do still see it at times, which is in this lifetime guarantee bullet. They say, by purchasing our dog washing, I can't see the rest of it because our faces are blocking it on my computer, but what it is saying is something about how a portion of the sale is going to help stray dogs, if I remember it correctly. And so this desire to present yourself as a philanthropic business, I think, is attractive to people that are thinking, oh, okay, well, customers will be excited by purchasing from a company that gives back or is making the world a better place. Companies like Tom's have been very successful with marketing campaigns like that. And the thing is that if you aren't truly doing that, then anybody's going to look at this and see it as simply a failed marketing tactic. And people hate when they're being lied to make a sale. And I don't think that anybody would look at this and feel truly convinced that even 1 penny of this sale is going to help stray dogs, because it's so vague. It's so oddly written. It doesn't give any specific details about what percentage or what organization it's going to, or why they're wanting to donate to dogs. And so You want to be thinking of, is this just me trying to pull out some technique that I saw somebody mention in a Facebook group to try to be attractive to customers? Or is this truly something that is going to, is this really just something that's going to actually take away from my reliability and credibility as a customer, or sorry, as a company?
And I'm still trying to figure out if the dog is happy or not.
Yeah, I can't imagine any dog truly being happy about putting their foot in a device like that. I have a dog, and when I just try to take a towel to wipe his feet, if it just rained outside, he acts like I'm torturing him. So if I tried to shove his paw into a device like this, he, I think, would definitely wiggle a little bit at the very
I'm
least.
going to look for the ranking of this product. It's interesting. You got to do
So,
yeah.
So read it out loud, ask yourself if it makes sense, and also make sure that you're using the correct language for a product. So, we were talking about earlier, just a moment ago, about this idea of being really clear about who your target customers are. And that extends to the type of language that you're using in your listing. So if we go back to this example of a microphone, if I'm selling a beginner's microphone and then I'm using all of this really technical language about, I don't even know, I'm not knowledgeable enough about audio to know what those words are off the top of my head. But if I'm using a lot of things like that for an entry-level product, I'm probably going to be very intimidating to a lot of potential customers. And I may actually turn them away because it may make them think that this product is beyond what they really need as far as features go. Whereas if I'm selling something that's really meant to be a very high performance microphone for really serious people that require top-notch audio, and I'm not including that type of language, then they may think that this is just some overpriced beginner level product that isn't for professionals, because if it was, then it would include all of these terms so that they could be able to make an informed decision about whether this is the exact type of sound quality and has all of those special features that they know that they want and need because they've educated themselves on those things. So really thinking about who your customers are and where they are as far as their knowledge about a particular category, and then making sure that the language that you're using is at that appropriate level that's going to make sense and help them feel like they're in the right place when they get into your listing.
What type of A/B testing you can do for something like that? Okay, when you have picture, it's easy. Okay,
sure.
Pictures, there are different services you can share pictures, and it's easy. You can get some feedbacks. But on the content side, what type of A/B testing you can recommend of doing?
So there is A/B testing out there. The thing that is really difficult is, unless you're having a lot of traffic to your listing, it can be really difficult to get meaningful tests. And this is something that you should be thoughtful of with any A/B testing is, a good scientific test, you're changing one variable. So for example, if it is going to take you 3 months to get statistically significant data for set A, then by the time you're trying to test set B, you're in a different season, because by the time 3 months pass, now suddenly we're in the holidays. So there could be other factors influencing things. So you can do some of that testing. Like, I know that a lot of people like Splitly and things, but it's just something that I want to make sure that people are thinking about when they are running those tests, because there are so many other factors that you may not have considered that you want to at least be mindful of. Now, you still may be able to run those tests for X amount of time and get some good insight, but it may not be as valuable as it would be in other cases. I know that also, I haven't really spoken to many people that have done it, but I do know that Amazon allows you to A/B test A+ content. But like I said, it seems like for whatever reason, not many people, at least that I've spoken to, have really made much effort doing that. And again, it's difficult to get good, meaningful results because you would want to make sure that all of the content is staying the same, but also, testing things that would actually people, like if let's say that one of your test A is very photo forward and has very minimal text. And so then the set B would be something that has more text and is more balanced between the text and the images as far as that goes. But you would want to make sure that the images are still mostly the same and that all of the that necessary information is still there, because if you're cutting out a lot of the text, but then you're cutting out a lot of that information, then you may be skewing the true results of what you're getting. So I guess that's not a very satisfying answer, but I would say that you can accommodate for a lot of those things by doing some really thorough research and having, even if you're not split testing, taking the evidence that you're seeing from what works with other people. So looking and seeing how some of these larger brands, what are the types of language that they're using, how are their customers speaking about their products, so looking at your competitors' reviews and seeing how people are truly engaging both about what they love and what they dislike and the types of language that they're using. And you can even take that a step further. You can go onto different forums, pretty much every interest you can think of has Facebook groups and Quora forums and Reddit subthreads on topics that would be relevant to the product or category that you're selling in, that you can educate yourself about that. And then additionally, another trick that I really like to do is going on social media of influencers in the space that you're trying to sell to and seeing how people are engaging in that way. So, like there are people on YouTube that do product reviews, and there are Instagram influencers that do, make posts. And so you'll see the types of slang they're using and the types of things that people are talking about and how they're talking about them. And all those details can be really helpful to get you in the right mindset and to really truly understand how your customers are communicating and then how you should and can communicate to make a much more compelling listing.
I think an influencer is a good place to go through and try to do what you've mentioned, but also try to get them promote your product at the end. And
yes.
This is the goal.
Yeah. And I understand that, and I've both seen and spoken with quite a few people that have had a lot of success by developing relationships with micro influencers. And so, obviously it would be amazing if somebody with 1 million or 5 million or 500,000 subscribers promoted your product, and we can all aspire to that. But it's amazing actually what even somebody with a few thousand subscribers can still do for your business, because their subscriber base is likely a very dedicated subscriber base where they really trust that person's opinion and they're really excited by the recommendations that they make. So you don't, just in the same way with keywords where the goal of those really, those high search volume keywords, those high subscriber influencers are really exciting, but there's amazing potential that exists with some of those more untapped, lower competition influencers and keywords.
Anyone wants that Oprah Winfrey will promote his product, this for sure.
Right.
But not Oprah
right.
will not promote all products. So it's better
well,
to
and
the audience.
And, I've seen also articles and whatnot that having those big influencers promote your brand isn't always a positive thing for businesses. Because if you're going from selling, 500 products a month to having a demand for 500,000 products a month, that's going to be a really challenging hurdle to overcome, and a lot of inventory to buy and all of the logistics of that. It's, not to say that it's bad, but it comes with its own challenges.
Yes, I totally agree. Okay.
Okay, so who are you? We've been talking a lot about your customers and getting a really clear sense of who your
Oh,
customers
that's a
are.
good picture. I only now
Thanks.
see that. Very nice.
Yeah, I love this. I love this photo because I think it demonstrates really clearly this idea that a lot of people may put on these different marketing tactics, and what it ends up being like is a sausage dressed as a banana. And so there's people sense that disconnect and they feel like something's off here. This doesn't feel genuine. It's not authentic, whatever the case may be. And it's likely because the way that you're presenting yourself isn't aligned with who you really are as a brand. So it's really important to do some work, not only as you're starting your business, but then to continue to ask these questions as you go along, 1 year in, 2 years in, every few months, and really making sure that you have a clear sense of who your business is and what you're really trying to create. So I love this quote by Seth Godin: almost all the growth that's available to you exists when you aren't like most people and when you work hard to appeal to folks who aren't most people. So let's think about this in terms of Amazon. And pretty much any product that you are going to try to sell, you are going to search a query into the search bar on Amazon, and you're going to get a search page full of a bunch of products, and all of their titles are exactly the same, and all of their photos are exactly the same, and there may be a few standouts as far as reviews go, but really the two main things then customers are forced to choose between are pricing and reviews. And so if you're not competitive on one of if you're not competitive on one of those two things, then it's going to be very difficult to gain traction. But
and to spend a lot of money on PPC. Yes.
Yeah. And to spend a lot of money and to really just sort of sit in the middle of all of this.
Exactly.
And so there's that issue that you need to be thinking about. However, if you can figure out how to differentiate yourself, suddenly you're not only competing on those two factors, but you also have this really interesting thing that happens where you are making the decision easier for customers. Because I don't know how many of you have been shopping on Amazon and you feel really frustrated because all of the products are like identical and you don't really know how to choose between them. I mean, like I was looking for exercise shorts the other day and I just didn't end up purchasing anything because they all looked like they were manufactured at the same place. They were all pretty much the same price point. I couldn't really tell if they were exactly what I was looking for. And so I just gave up. So that decision fatigue is something really real. But if you're able to clearly communicate why you're different and better, then you make it so much easier for customers to choose you because you're not trying to be like everybody else. And I think that that's something that it's easy to accept in theory, but hard to execute when it's your own business, because it also means taking a little bit of a risk. Because I'm essentially saying that you need to say why you're different, and you need to make a point of maybe even turning some customers off. But in turning some customers off, you're also going to really excite a whole nother group of people that can then become a very loyal customer base, not only for this product, but then for any of the other products that you may be wanting to sell. So I have an example here that I think is really interesting for a couple of reasons. On the left, we have, these are both high caffeine coffees. Melita is on the left, and they are a pretty established coffee company that's been around for, I think, over 100 years. You can find them in most grocery stores. They supply a lot of, gas stations and other sorts of places like that. And then on the right, we have Black Rifle Coffee Company, which they are an e-commerce coffee company, and they do not have the longevity that Melita does, or necessarily that wide brand exposure, but they are killing it on Amazon in a very competitive category. one of the first things I noticed when I was looking at these two is you'll also see Melita it's 13 ounces for $7.99, whereas Black Rifle for 12 ounces, you're spending $16.99. So you're paying over twice as much for Black Rifle Coffee Company. And that's not because I can guarantee you that it's not because their raw materials are that much more expensive. It's because they're differentiating themselves with their branding and who their target customers are. And that allows them to take the conversation beyond just competing on price. So if it's a price conversation, Melita may be winning, but there are many people that are shopping and wanting to be excited about the products and the brands that they're purchasing from beyond simply choosing the cheapest product. And specifically with a product like coffee, you know, for a lot of people, their morning coffee is this part of this special ritual before the chaos of their days start. It's maybe the only few moments to themselves that they may get throughout the day. And so there are a group of people that are very happy to invest a little bit more to make that moment that they have special and one that they can really savor.
It's
so on the left,
to really how they deliver the differentiation.
Yes, it's very interesting. Like overall, Melita's listing isn't bad. Technically, it does a lot of things pretty well. They have their all caps headers. They provide some interesting information about the product and whatnot. But one of their main issues is that it just feels very generic. It feels very corporate, and there's really nothing that helps you to understand why this is such great coffee. But also, this is high caffeine coffee. So with a high caffeine coffee, I would want to see a little bit of high energy, and I'm not even really getting that from their coffee. On the right-hand side with Black Rifle, they're actually doing some things that I would discourage people from doing. So they're using emojis, which for the most part, I think that cheapens the product and the brand and how you're presenting yourself. They're also using much longer bullets than what I would recommend. But in their case, that's, you know, that doesn't seem to be stopping them from creating a successful product page and a successful brand. And the reason for that is because they're not just selling coffee. They are selling this idea and this concept that some people are going to feel really excited about. So in their case, they're a veteran-owned business, and they make this a really big part of their entire listing. So, and that is not something that everybody's going to get behind. You know, they're talking about proudly supporting not only veterans, but also law enforcement, which is a pretty divisive topic here in the US right now. And so there are definitely people that would look at a page like this and would be turned off from purchasing from a brand like this. However, there are a lot of other people that will see this and will feel really excited to be able to not only get an awesome coffee for their morning coffee, but to be supporting a veteran-owned business. Here's Melita's A+ content. It looks fine. It's just, again, it's very corporate and it doesn't really tell you that much. Like this could just as easily be any other roast that's in their line, and they use a very similar looking layout and copy for all of their different roasts and blends. Here's Black Rifle's A+ content.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really cool. And only one of their modules is about this coffee. So the majority of their A+ content is about their brand. And they have a picture of their team, a letter from their founder. They're bold about their mission statement, their culture, their brand. So through and through, they are making it clear about who they are and really helping to engage, excite, and develop a relationship with their customers. They're not just going after this one sale to sell this bag of coffee. They are looking to get people excited to make this their coffee of choice, to want to buy their merchandise that will be excited, you know, like you see their Black Rifle Coffee Co., that cool shirt in our mission statement picture with the mountains. That's a nice design. Some people are like maybe thinking, oh, I want a shirt like that. This is such an awesome brand. I can't wait to tell people about it. So they're not just making that immediate sale, but they are really investing in creating an ongoing relationship with their customers so that they want to go seek them out on their website, and they want to tell their friends about it, and they are going to come back and buy Black Rifle Coffee Company. And something else that's really cool is that when somebody has a positive impression of something or someone, we have a better experience of that person or thing. So if you do a good job of making me really excited about this, and then I'm expecting to really like this coffee, I'm going to think it tastes better than I would if I was just doing a blind taste test. So by getting me really bought into their brand story, they are priming me to have an even better impression of how this coffee is going to taste once I get it home.
It looks like this is their life mission. It doesn't look like I'm coming to sell you. It's like,
exactly. Right. The coffee is just the way that they're doing these things. But the coffee is sort of in some ways insignificant. It's just, you know, like he's a veteran that served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they hire lots of, they're veteran owned and operated. And so like all of these things are ideas in a business that a lot of people will get pumped up about.
Good, very good example. I really like that.
So it can be difficult to know how to do this. And obviously, not all of us are going to have a story like Black Rifle Coffee Company, but that doesn't mean that you can't still do some of this work to help to make your message more compelling. So I don't want you to see this and think that you should now go and create some made-up story. If you don't have this really awesome platform, that's okay, and you can still be very successful. And one of the things that I think that you should be thinking about when you're trying to clarify your story and get clear on your mission is your story isn't just what happened before you started your business. Your story is what's happening now, and your story can also be what you're working to create. So if you don't have that amazing origin story, it's not that you're doomed to failure. You just are maybe going to have to get a little bit more creative with how you present your story, not making it up, or also just finding those other sorts of deeper commitments and values that you can even incorporate into your imagery and your copy in a way that is making people understand what you stand for as a brand. So what are your values? What makes you special? How do you differentiate yourself? And a really fun exercise that you can do is to imagine your brand as a person. So create a brand persona for your persona for your company. So thinking about like, if your brand was a person, what would they wear? What types of clothes would they wear? And what would be their favorite dish to eat after a long day, and their favorite song to listen to when they're getting pumped up in the morning, and all of those little details. It's not only a fun exercise, but that's actually will help you to really make sure that if you're a sausage, that everything that you put out there is full of sausage instead of trying to pretend like you're a banana.
I think it's a good exercise to have with the kids for dinner. Let them give you the brand persona, then you get the real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, they're more comfortable flexing their creative muscles than a lot of adults are. So to do a good job of this, you could probably take a lot of inspiration from children's imaginations.
Exactly.
I know we're getting a little long with this. Should I speed through these parts or?
Feel comfortable. Okay.
So mistake number 4, 1,000 is too many words. I love this quote. There are always 2 people in every picture, the photographer and the viewer. And the reason that I love this quote, I realize I'm saying I love all the quotes, but I guess I put them in this presentation for a reason. But the reason that I think that this quote is so important when it comes to thinking about your marketing and your Amazon listings is what you see in the picture won't necessarily be what your customer sees in the picture unless you incorporate text. And then when you incorporate text, you make sure that everybody's on the same page. Otherwise, we may look at a photo like this and Assaf, whatever you're seeing may be something totally different than what I'm seeing, maybe something totally different than what somebody else sees, because we all have our own backstories. We all have whatever's going on in our minds on that particular day that we're looking at this. And so whether that's making you remember that you really haven't moved all day and you need to get outside as soon as you wrap up whatever you're doing, or you start to feel nostalgic for this trip that you took with your family 5 years ago, or whatever the case may be, your mind might start wandering, and we may or may not end up at the same conclusion.
I see a track for mountain bikes. That's what I see.
Okay, see, so like I hadn't thought of mountain
for mountain bike. This is the place.
So yeah, I would never have thought about mountain biking because mountain biking terrifies me. So now the next time maybe I will think about mountain biking, but I'm not a adrenaline junkie in that particular way. So using words to supercharge your photos is something that is really valuable and something that I would strongly encourage you to do, but there is a fine line. So you want to make sure that when you're using text, you're not going overboard and you're not either creating something that somebody's going to need to zoom in on, because you want to be thinking that you're optimizing for people that are on their phones as well as on their computers. And also what will be most impactful is a short sentence that somebody can look at the picture and they're not going to have to make any extra effort to read whatever you're written. Instead, that text is really helping to make sure that I understand what I'm supposed to be getting from looking at that picture. And so sometimes that can be more of helping to set the scene and build excitement. Other times that may mean communicating a key benefit of your product. And other times that could be about really communicating something that may be difficult to explain just with words alone, but also wouldn't be immediately clear when you are looking at the photo for yourself. So like with this example of KitchenAid, these are a few of their photos that they have on their listing. And a point that I wanted to make with this is on the bottom photo, you see this attachment to the KitchenAid and it's making these zucchini noodles. And so I might look at that, and if I'm just really quickly skimming everything, I might see that and say, wow, this is cool. This KitchenAid also comes with a zucchini noodle maker attachment. It doesn't. So this is actually a very misleading photo, because I have no reason not to think that a photo demonstrating this would come with that. And it's something that they make. It's just you have to pay extra for it. So if there had been a bit of text about this, not only would it help to clarify my expectations, so I'm not expecting to get a spiralizer when it doesn't come with one, but it could also help to increase the value of my cart, because maybe I'll say, oh, well, I was trying to get my KitchenAid to make all these delicious cupcakes and pies and other sweets, but then I can maybe help to minimize some of the guilt I'm going to be feeling from all of these baked treats that I'll be making, that I can also make a zucchini noodles. And so then I won't feel as bad. So I want to buy one of those. And I wonder what other attachments they have. So maybe, I mean, this is not an inexpensive tool. I think it's $400 or $500. So if I'm already preparing myself to spend that much, then maybe spending $50 or $100 on a couple of attachments seems like a very reasonable add-on to make. So it could have been an opportunity for them to make an upsell, but instead it's really more of a point of confusion than anything else. So if we look at this photo again, and now you'll notice that one person, you'll see they're holding a water bottle. So if you wanted to make a sort of lifestyle image about a about this water bottle that you're selling, it doesn't mean that all of your photos have to be zoomed in on the water bottle. You're still helping to communicate some of the benefits of your water bottle in a way that's going to be engaging and exciting and interesting. But without that text there, Assaf's thinking about mountain biking, I'm thinking about past family vacations, and none of us are thinking about your water bottle, which is why you would have invested money to create an image like this in the first place. So the last thing, and perhaps the most important of all of the things, is but why. Don't tell them what it is, but why they need it. So often, I think just naturally what we do when you're wanting to write about a product is you just start explaining it. You just say, this is this, it has these dimensions, it does these things, and it all is just very descriptive and boring and doesn't communicate those deeper reasons behind why somebody would be searching for a product like what you're selling and how this product is going to positively impact their lives. So for this example, on the left, we have Intex, which Intex is a pretty large brand. They sell lots of different types of outdoor goods, and they're in stores and Walmart and Walgreens and all sorts of places. And on the right, we have a brand that is really not that well known at all. It's called Splash Easy. It's actually, this is a listing that we helped launch last year. And it spent most of the summer in the top 100 toys and games. And now, since it's been warm out, it has been back up to that place. When I was taking this image, it was number 4 in all of toys and games. So they're doing really well, and they don't have that same brand recognition that this Intex pool does, which the Intex pool is still doing pretty well. They could probably do even better if they had a good listing and really spoke to this. So on the left, we see Intex is so vague. They're just including some very basic facts. They're not even including all of the details that they would want to know. Like, it says it's inflatable, but it doesn't say whether it comes with a pump or whether you need to inflate it with your lungs or whether you need to buy a separate pump. It's just lots of things that are left in the air. Whereas on the right with Splash Easy, you see that there are the important details there, but those important details are really, in some ways, taking a back seat to those deeper benefits that somebody's going to get when they purchase this pool. So it's something that's meant to be safe for young children and a good way to cool off, but that's not the only benefit this product has. It is also designed to be a learning aid so that your time spent outside cooling off with your children can also help to encourage positive development. So you see that they have a really solid understanding not only of what their product is, but who their customers are and how to communicate the benefits of their product in a way that's going to be really engaging and interesting to their customers. And in doing so, they have quickly risen to be a very successful product on Amazon. Here's Intex's A+ content. Again, really vague. I just noticed this actually. Here it says 18-gallon water capacity, but here it says 22 gallons. So there's actually a disconnect even between how much water this holds, which you think would be one of the most basic details that they would be able to get right. Here's Splash Easy's A+ content. So they have some nice imagery. I really like this infographic under Empower Your Little Ones Early Learning, and it's talking about, yes, exactly. Like, you see this and you think about being outside with your children and playing with this toy, and they're showing different ages engaging with it, and parents and children together. And it's really about creating the experience that you're going to have with this toy, more than just the basic features of what it does. So they're both on the surface serving very similar functions, but this has really taken that extra step to understanding their customers, communicating about things and how this product is going to fit into their lives and really elevate their time spent outside with their children. So I know that was a lot, and I know that it can be a little bit overwhelming to think about some of these things, but the more curious you can be about who you are, who your customers are, and who your competitors are, like we've discussed sort of throughout this conversation today, the better job that you'll be able to do some of these things that Black Rifle Coffee Company is doing so successfully, like Splash Easy is really succeeding with. And to get you started with that, I put together a free worksheet, which if you have your phone, you can just hold it up with the camera open and scan this QR code, or you can go to marketingbyemma.com/AMZyourWay, and you can download that free worksheet, which it has a lot of questions that you should be thinking about to really help you figure out where you fit into this whole landscape. So
amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. So go check that out. And then additionally, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If you'd like our help with your listings, we'd be happy to help. We also offer free listing analysis. So if you're not sure whether your listing is doing what it needs to be doing, you can go to our website and fill out that form, and we'll get back to you with some feedback about things that you may want to consider doing to really give your listing that extra edge.
Emma, it was very helpful. I learned a lot. I'm sure that whoever will listen to this webinar also will learn a lot. I really appreciate your informative presentation. And any final words?
I would say just stay curious. So, keep asking questions. And when you see something that's working, ask yourself, why is that working? And try to figure out what's going on there that's allowing them to be so successful. And then alternatively, when something isn't working, try to figure out what's going on and what's not working, and whether you haven't dug deep enough to understand who your customers are, or you've identified the wrong customers, or you just haven't really quite figured out what needs to be done. There's always more information to be learned. And the more that you can get into that mindset of trying to figure out not just what's going on, but why it's happening, the better you'll be able to make decisions and lead your company hopefully towards success.
And, I'll be happy that people will contact you and get your advice, and it's very useful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting me, and I look forward to the next time.
Thank you, Emma, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes, whenever the world opens up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Assaf. Bye.